Cody Prewitt with Miss Evie Van Pelt, and we are on Rebel Takes Podcast, episode number 1. And today we have the honor of having Mr. AJ Finley with us, starting safety for the Ole Miss Rebels. Hello, AJ. How are you, brother?
I'm great. How are y'all?
We're doing great. We're very grateful to have you. Miss Evie, she has told me, she's talked about you constantly, nonstop for the past few years, and rightfully so. I've watched you. I've wanted to meet you, wanted to talk to you. Haven't had the opportunity, but now we're here, and thank you for that. We appreciate
No problem,
that.
man.
Miss Evie, you got anything?
Oh, yeah, just super excited to have AJ on. I mean, he's a great representative of Ole Miss, the university, and obviously the football program, and has made just some phenomenal plays. I could sit here and list off some of your game-winning things you've done, but we'll see if we get into that in a little bit. But just really excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Very excited. AJ, I'm going to start off with a hard hitter. All right. I take up for you guys. I take up for Ole Miss at all times. There has been, I guess, criticisms, you could say, about the defense, the three-man front defense that you guys run. I ran a three-man defense in high school. I know how effective it can be when it's ran right. And in my opinion, what I've told people is I think we have the personnel, meaning we have a lot of speed and not quite as much depth at the defensive line position. And that kind of personnel, it tends to lean towards, a three-man front being a strength of ours.
Yeah.
Was that something you would agree with, or what would you say to the critiques of the three-man front?
I mean, I definitely do agree that we have the personnel for the three-man front. So, I mean, I can see why people criticize it because sometimes it does look like it doesn't work. But honestly, most of the time when it doesn't work, it's just us not doing the things that need to be done. So you can see when we're flying around and doing what we have to do, it looks really good. But when it doesn't, it looks really bad. So I feel like it's just a matter of us doing what we have to do to make it look successful.
I absolutely agree. And that's, I'm not sure. I don't think we released the objectively biased for this today yet, have we?
Not yet. Cody does a weekly column for us called Objectively Biased, and it's really cool. It's like if you were writing an article for us, probably, just that point of view of somebody who's been out there and played and looks at the game a little bit differently than the average fan does.
But the reason I bring that up is I know in last week, the article, one of the talking points was I deflected a little bit from the critiques of the three-man front. And I basically said what you said, that, whenever you guys are executing and everyone is doing their job, filling their gaps, linebackers are adjusting are hitting their stunts properly, filling their gaps, the secondary defensive backs, they're filling where they're supposed to fill. It's a very effective defense, and it allows for a defensive unit to play really fast. And that's that's a strength of ours.
I do agree with that. I mean, it probably is when it does mess up, it probably looks way worse than it would with the foot down front, but because people run the ball more. But I honestly do think, like you said, it's just a matter of us doing what we have to do. Like early in the season, we were doing what we had to do. Like the early games, Kentucky game, when we were flying around, everybody was doing their job. It looked really good. But these past few games, when things haven't been working out so well, it has looked really bad.
And 100% agree. And before I get into just throwing compliments at you, that is another thing I did address in a couple of the objectively biased is it seems to me that we haven't on the defensive side of the ball, we haven't put together a full game of you guys playing solid land shark defense like I know that you guys and have seen you guys execute at. Would you agree with that, or how would you feel about that?
I definitely do agree. Like as a team, I feel like we haven't put that complete game together on all three phases: special teams, offense, and defense. So that's honestly something we have to do before the season ends out, because these next 3 games are probably going to be the toughest games of the year. So honestly, just getting that done in the next 3 games is really important.
Absolutely. And
Um,
now we'll go ahead, Ms. Evie.
I was just going to ask. I'm sure I've had a lot of people ask me how physically how you're doing. I guess you were in concussion protocol and
Yeah.
you were able to play against A&M. I mean, how do you feel? I mean, that was certainly a physical game. How do you feel?
I feel good. It was honestly just like a making sure I was all right thing. The LSU game, didn't want to risk it. So I mean, I didn't have really any symptoms the next day. So that was honestly the good part, because it was my first concussion ever. So they say that was not as bad. So uh, honestly, I took the concussion test on Tuesday or Wednesday, passed that, and I started back practicing. I did the walkthrough. That's what I did. I did the walkthrough and was ready to play on Saturday. So it was. I feel pretty good.
That's good. I kept, I was excited. I got to meet your dad and your mom
Yeah.
at Kyle Field, and they're just really lovely people. So I had texted with your dad a good bit, and I probably pestered him a bit last week. I was sending him praying emojis for
Yeah.
you. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, we're glad you're doing well.
Thank you.
Very glad you're doing well. And that actually does transition perfectly into what I was going to talk about next. Was I know when I played, when people, you're the leader of the defense, all that kind of stuff. It's sometimes it can be uncomfortable to accept that. But after watching the defense last week against LSU, and you not being present out there on the field, it was very obvious to me that you are if not the leader on the defense. So I wanted to give my hats off to you for that, and just let you know that your presence, you make your presence known very well.
Thank you.
It was good to see you guys back playing Landshark defense this week.
Yeah.
And I think one of the shining, or one of the best examples of just the presence that you provide on the field is the play that it was about 12 minutes left in the second quarter, and you made a play I'm talking about. Huh?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But you made a play, or you made an open field tackle, beautiful tackle, and it was a tackle for a loss. And up until that point, we had kind of let Texas A&M get a little bit of momentum.
Yeah.
And from that point on, it's like whenever you made that play, it's like you guys flipped a switch as a unit, and you were able to. And they didn't score again until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I honestly do think like it was a turning point in the game, because I honestly would say I feel like because we got a lot of new guys playing, so a lot of guys have never played in a situation like that, a big game like that. So I feel like it's just a matter of guys knowing that we can do it. I honestly think the thing on Saturday was just guys getting settled in, because those first 2 drives were honestly awful in my opinion. But just guys getting settled in and knowing that we can do what we have to do is really the biggest part.
Absolutely. And then another thing, and not to make excuses, but in the defense of, I guess, those younger guys, heck, they just came from a very hostile environment in LSU, Death Valley, 100,000 people.
Yeah.
And they go into the next week with a similar amount of people in an equally as hostile environment. And, you weren't there on the field with them, for the LSU game. But you were there for the Texas A&M game. And I think in my opinion, whenever you made that play, like I said, it flipped a switch. But at the same time, it let them know, hey, these environments, they're not that, it's not like we can't function in them.
I think it is, yeah. I mean, this is why you come to schools like this. You live to play in games like those. Those are the funnest games to ever play in, man.
Absolutely. I've always told anybody that ever asked me, and that I love vault. I love the vault to death. That's my home. But playing in Death Valley and places like Death Valley, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, that was my first time playing there full capacity too. So having to leave that game I was a little upset about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Kyle Field maybe didn't make up for it, but that's a heck of an environment too. And, I don't think I'm ever going to forget being down there watching Cody get a pick six against A&M when he did back in 2014. And so I was just wondering, I mean, did you sense any of the younger guys going, this is crazy here, or was it okay? We made it out of Death Valley. I mean,
little apprehension.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of feel it sometimes, but yeah, you do feel it. But just letting those guys know, it's just the same old football you've been playing all your life. So it's nothing different, really. Just more people watching. I just try to get people more comfortable with the situation we're in. So that's really the biggest thing I try to do. Just let them know it's just the same football. Nothing's really different.
But I will say this: the difference between, and I'm not sure if you experienced this, AJ, but the difference between LSU and playing in Death Valley as opposed to Kyle Field is the fans. The fans at LSU are rowdy. They're they're behind the.
I thought they were weird, honestly. They were usually when you pull up on a bus, that everybody's flipping you off, all that other stuff. The people at A&M just waving, I was like, what is going on? It was a little weird to me, honestly.
You know what? After Cody, after y'all won in 2014, I remember Bo Wallace being asked about it afterwards, and I remember him saying, "It made no sense to me." He goes, at first I was worried because the fans were way down close to the, behind our bench. And he said, but they were fine. And he said, and we were leaving, we just beat them. And they were waving and saying, good game. And he just didn't, I just remember Bo being incredulous. He didn't get it.
That is a wildly different experience than what I remember.
Really? Okay. Well, what was Bo talking about? Well, maybe they didn't like you because when
we were getting on and off the bus, that kind of stuff, it was pleasant enough. But during the game, the fans behind our bench were heckling us and taunting us, talking crap. I loved it. I fed off that energy, but
stuff like that. It just makes me want to I don't know what it does to me. I just feed off of stuff like that.
Absolutely, it's fun. It's that competitor in you.
Yeah.
I want to ask this maybe to both of you, but this was a critical game against A&M. I didn't write anywhere it's a must win, but if you lose that game and then you got to sit around for 2 whole weeks and think about it, and then you got to play Bama, go to Arkansas and finish with the Egg Bowl. There's a chance the wheels could fall off. And so this was such an important game, and then to get down in the game on the road. Was there ever any sense? Was anybody getting uptight or panicked, or what was the mood like?
Honestly, I wasn't. I'm the type of person, I'm never really worried about where the game's going to go because I always have faith. That's just who I am as a person. Mm-hmm. So I don't think anybody was really down or worried about the game because we got down 14-7, I think it was. And then pretty much all after that, like Cody said, after that 4th down stop, it was all us for the next quarter and a half. So I really wasn't worried.
And what were you thinking, in the final couple of minutes of the game? It comes down to, we came up a little short offensively. Maybe we needed one first down. And so then, the defense has to go back out there again. And
like I said, you live for moments like that. You want to be on the field for moments like that. That's the biggest part. So I'm never worried about it. It's just, it's probably the most fun part of the game. I like being back against the wall, having to make a play or something. So it was honestly fun for me.
You sound so much like Cody. I swear that's exactly what he would say. And I want to give a shout out to our punter because that was a phenomenal punt.
Mm-hmm.
I think he made there to pin them back. And I posted a little video of that. And that was that kind of got lost in some of it too. But I have no doubt y'all would have stopped them anyway. But it was nice to have them pinned back in their territory.
That was definitely big. It changes the play calling for them a little bit. So that definitely was big. That I don't know where he pinned him. It was probably inside. I think it was inside the 10. Was it inside the 10?
I think so.
But that anytime you can pin an offense inside the 10, it really makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And as good as that, he was a freshman quarterback. He played lights out. I'm talking about Weekman.
Connor Wigman.
Yes, Connor Wigman.
Yeah.
He was he played lights out, but if you can pin back a freshman quarterback like that, and it's especially when you have a defense like ours that's just they're known for we're very aggressive. We like running around. We like getting in quarterbacks' heads. It's almost impossible for any quarterback to do what they were attempting to do. But
and he's a great quarterback. I mean, I know that you know, I graduated from A&M, so I have a lot of A&M, you know, friends and family, and they've wanted Wegman to be playing all season long just because they feel like he has so much talent. So, I mean, even though he was young out there, he had a lot of talent.
Yeah.
I will say this: after seeing him play, I had no idea why he hasn't been playing.
A lot of people have said that. A lot of people have said that. So
he was very, very impressive to me.
Very much so.
But,
well, so what does this bye week look for you? I mean, what does it look like? What is you mentioned maybe if things been pushed back a little bit, or what is AJ's bye week like?
Honestly, yeah, like I said earlier, things got pushed back a little bit. We still practice. I think we're going to practice Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So pretty much for me, I'm just going to try to stay on my feet, get my legs back, get any little injuries or knacks that I have, just get those out of the way, take care of those, and just relax, honestly.
Okay.
I have an interesting question. I like Kiffin. I like his offensive mind. I've told Miss Evie and anybody that asks, if I were on a Kiffin team, I would deliberately go out of my way to try to give him hell in practice, just making turnover, doing whatever I can. Do you guys ever, like, when you practice one-on-one stuff like that? Is he Coach Freeze was very much so for the offense during practice.
Definitely. I honestly can say it happened today because we had this situation. I don't know. I think it was like 2 minutes or something, and then he out of nowhere just randomly says sideline infraction on the defense because I don't even know what happened. He gave them extra play like the 5-yard line. So yeah, he's very much for the offense.
How funny.
That makes sense. I could see that.
Cody told me one time that he used to, if he'd intercept Bo Wallace in practice, he would go run up to him and harass him and tease him.
I've honestly always done that. It's always fun to get in the quarterback's head, even if it's in practice.
Well, actually, now that you mentioned that, I know we had a pretty good quarterback competition at the beginning of the season. I think Jackson has done a great job of, I guess, separating himself, the season kind of going on. Is there, and I don't want you to speak ill or better or worse about your teammates or anything like that, but was there a moment during the season or fall camp, anything like that, where, just speaking for yourself as a leader of the defense, one of those guys kind of separated themselves for you?
I honestly couldn't say because I was out for pretty much the majority of camp with a hamstring, so I wasn't really able to like practice and really went out to feel like what was going on and stuff. But I feel like both of them, they really competed. From what I saw from watching film, they really competed, and I was honestly comfortable with both of them going into the season. So whatever decision they made, I was going to roll with it.
I'm with you. Both really talented quarterbacks.
Yeah, and that's one I wish I would have been a fly on or at the practices so I could see that competition, because I know both of them are super competitive and super talented.
Both of them they come out making plays, so it was honestly fun to watch. Both of them bringing their A game every day because that's what you have to do in a competition like that.
Absolutely.
AJ, I have a question, and I mean, I don't know if you want to answer it or not, but I didn't realize until I was talking to your folks that you actually have a COVID year left that, you could use. At what point, I mean, I know you probably won't be thinking about that during the season, but what kind of will be your process maybe to determine whether you'll enter the draft or whether you'll return?
I'll probably honestly look at it after the bowl game and just see where I'm at. Like, I feel like because last year I really just looked at what I I kind of watched the film and looked at how I played as a player and I looked at the things that I needed to improve on. And I just didn't feel comfortable with leaving. So I'll probably honestly do the same thing this year. Just look at myself and look at how I played. And if I don't like what I saw on film, I'll probably come back.
Well, that makes sense. That's a good way to look at it.
I was the same way when I guess my junior year, that first All-American year, we lost the Egg Bowl, and everybody was saying you need to go to the draft, go get paid, all this crap. But I'm sure it's in a quote somewhere. But I couldn't leave Mississippi until the egg was back home.
Yeah,
until it was back in Oxford, and that's a quote somewhere. I'd have to find it, but yeah, I feel where you're at in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's definitely something that I hope you stay. But that's
well, yeah.
I'm sure you have the right people and guidance in your life to help you make that decision whenever that time comes. But if you ask me, I want you to stay. So
Cody's on the record. AJ, how a lot of people, so much was made. I mean, Kiffin has talked about it even still, about all the newcomers on the team and trying to get so many people to gel and mesh. And I mean, we're sitting at 8-1, so obviously it seems like it's going pretty well. I mean, how do you feel?
I mean, honestly, I feel like I think those first few games really helped with getting the chemistry going. So really didn't have. I mean, we had some good games, but like those games were really good to have getting in the SEC before we got in the SEC play to really just get a feel for how we played around each other. And I think camp helped with that too, because camp was from what I saw, camp was really competitive and everybody was trying to bring their best. But I think the team is honestly going in a good way. So hopefully we keep climbing.
I think you guys will. It's I will say this, and I noted it in the article that I wrote today, but I'll go on video with this one. I think this past weekend was the most complete and best just complimentary football that we have played yet, as far as offense, defense, and special teams. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Texas, they're a good team. It's the SEC. They're all good teams. They're going to make plays
every week.
Every week. I mean, every week there's a chance for an upset in the SEC. But like we were talking about earlier with the punt that pinned them back at the end of the game, we had the fake punt that got the first down that led to the drive earlier in the game. We had the defense that, they started at Texas A&M's offense started off with a little bit of momentum, but we kind of stopped that before, it started bleeding too bad.
Yeah.
They didn't score again in the fourth quarter. The defense ultimately made the stops that we needed in order to win. And on the other side of the ball, the offense they scored enough to allow us to win. So it's, in my eyes, I can see that we're progressing, and especially on defense, that you guys are, whenever you're all healthy, that the unit there's a very good chemistry with the unit, and it's a chemistry that I love to see. Just fast, downhill, hard-hitting, land sharp defense football. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
sorry, Cody. Speaking of the fake punt, did you have any idea that was coming? No, you didn't. I don't think Dart said he had no idea it was coming.
I was because usually when the punt's about to happen, I usually just go like towards near where the punt returner is, just stand there and wait for us to go out on the field. And I look and see JJ Pegee, and I'm like, what is he doing with the ball? And then I saw it was pretty close, and I was like, oh boy, did he get it? So it was honestly pretty cool seeing JJ with the ball in his hands. So I really didn't know.
Yeah, he had to get 4 yards. I mean, it wasn't just a little
crazy
short yard. And let me ask you something else real quick. I'm not trying to stir up anything, but it seemed to me A&M had at least nine players defensively get cramps on a 67-degree night, but we didn't seem to. So are we just much better conditioned? Or
I honestly think that fourth quarter program probably is a little bit probably has a little bit to do with that. We probably are in way better shape than they are.
Must be.
That's the perfect answer. That's the perfect answer.
I told you he's good, isn't he? He's great.
This is the perfect answer.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna go. I'm not even gonna dive in on that one.
Okay. Ah,
I think
so-
I think my Twitter feed from Saturday speaks for itself on that one. But
mine too, and I never
Oh, boy.
do that.
It's always funny
Yeah.
to watch, though.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty funny. And like I say, it was 67. I think at one point I tweeted, well, gosh, it's 67 degrees down there.
Yeah,
I know it's not a heat, Grant. So
that's football
anyway,
weather. That was
that's
football
football
weather.
weather. Yeah. So, well, Cody, do you have anything else for AJ? I feel like we need to.
For AJ.
Oh, I know, but I told him maybe we'll get him to come back on again. Maybe he'll come
Absolutely
back
have
on.
to.
Okay.
Just some fun questions. I know a lot of like when I was playing, I had people ask me all the time who was the one receiver that you hated or don't like to guard the most in practice. Who would that receiver be for you?
Ooh. Since I've been here or this year in general?
You can let's do both. Let's do both.
So since I've been here, the one obvious answer is Elijah Moore. That was
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
That one speaks for itself.
Those times were a lot of learning was going on in those times.
For sure.
And this year, honestly, all the guys, they're different type of receivers, but they all do a really good job at what they do. So we got JJ Henry, Jordan Watkins, and Flash. Those are all our slot receivers, and they all bring something to the table. But honestly, it's hard to pick just one of those guys that I like going with the most, but because I love competing with those guys every day.
I mean, yeah, like you said, all of them, they're going to bring something different to the table, and it helps you learn, it helps you grow going against the good route runners versus the guys that are just they can burn the crap out of you just running full speed. But
Cody, let's ask you that question.
I was gonna to this day, the one person that I hated guarding the most was Jordan Holder, and he was a walk-on, and he actually went to Silver Bay Academy with me, but he was a walk-on and he earned a scholarship I think his senior year, but he was the shortest receiver. He wasn't the fastest receiver, but he could break anybody off.
Yeah.
Whenever I had to guard him, I hated it. I would rather guard Dante, Laquan, anybody, Quincy. I would rather guard one of those guys than Jordan Holder.
Yeah. It's always the short, quick guys that get you.
Exactly, like Elijah Moore. I would not have. Coach, I'm going to take this one off.
Yeah. Well, AJ, speaking of a player who was a walk-on but who's making an impact, what do you have anything to say about Dayton Wade? I've been really impressed with him.
He has been phenomenal, honestly, these past few weeks. He came into the season not really playing much, and to step up how he has, it's honestly very, very impressive. Sticking out, just doing when he came in the game, making the most of the opportunities he's had. And it's honestly impressive to see. I love to see people do that and just not quit on themselves and just stick it out and do what they have to do.
Man, you're sounding like Cody again. I think there's something to your position or something. I don't know, but
we're the quarterback to the defense. We gotta be there. We gotta be there. All right, now to the running backs. We have, in my opinion, two of the best running backs in the country, and a freshman that is arguably the best running back in the country. You got $10,000 on the line, open field, tackle and drill. you either gotta tackle Junkins or Evans. Who's it gonna be? $10,000 on
the line. Like you said, they both bring something different to the table.
No diplomatic answers on this one, bro. We gotta hear it. We gotta hear it.
I don't know, because
Well, Evans has kind of a hurt knee right now, so maybe he might be the one.
Zach is a little banged up right now.
Yeah.
Oh, you giving him an out, Miss Evie? Come
Yeah,
on
I
now.
know. That'd be the one I'd go after, the one with the hurt knee. But
I'll go first. I'll go first.
okay.
I always preferred to tackle the big running backs, the big tight ends. And I was 6'2", 220. I was the size of a linebacker, but most of those guys, they're not used to people hitting them in the face, or well, when we could still hit in the face, they weren't used to people, hitting them in the face. So I always enjoyed, having this 230-pound kid running at me, and he thinks I'm fixing to go at his thighs. No, I'm gonna hit you in your face, bro. So to answer my own question, I would have to choose Judkins, even though he's an animal.
Yeah, he's different, honestly. Like
that's
it's
the only word
crazy
you
to
can
think
say.
about that he's a freshman right now and he's doing the things he's doing. But I don't know. This is such a tough question because they both bring, like, we saw it last week. Zach brought the power on that sideline.
Ooh,
He did.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know.
While you think about this, I wanna get your take on something that it was something that I observed, and I want to see if there's really any merit to it. We know Zach, he didn't play for the LSU game. We had a lot of guys out for the LSU game, but he did play for the Texas A&M game. And to me, it seemed like the offense had just some more confidence. Even when he wasn't in, they knew that Zach was healthy, mostly healthy, that he was healthy enough to play. It seemed to me that the offense was clicking a little bit better. They had a little more confidence. Is that something that you would agree with, or is that something you picked up on, or?
I didn't really notice it, but now that you say that, I feel like it kind of probably did have an impact. Missing a guy like that it's always big, missing out on that much production, because he's a really good back and he can do a lot of things for this offense. So I feel like missing him did have a toll on them last week, but honestly, yeah, it probably did make an impact on how they played on Saturday.
And I mean, like you said, he's just super productivity is off the charts with both of those guys. But I know Zach Evans, he's a little bit older, so he probably carries a little bit more. Or he probably has more of a leadership role in the locker room. So to me, it just seemed like having him, or having the guys know that he was available and healthy enough to play. It really kind of seemed to just give us confidence in those times, those tougher times in the LSU game that we had similar in the Texas A&M game, but we were able to overcome that adversity.
Yeah, I definitely do agree. Like having a guy out, like especially a leader, like not having that guy out there on the field with you, knowing that he's going to do what he has to do, I feel like that does definitely take a toll. And
then it goes without saying, when you put those two running backs together, that's a nightmare for any team. So
yeah,
it's going to be what it is.
It's ridiculous, honestly.
And Dart had some key runs in that game also. I mean, I don't want to leave him out just because I feel like there were some critical plays in there where, he picked up a first down or got us what we needed.
Oh,
he has a few pretty sneaky good runs this year that he's had.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I can't remember. Well, it's been the whole season. I have been very pleasantly surprised with his running ability. From coming from USC, I think I heard in an interview where he was injured for most of.
Yeah, he had a knee injury.
Yeah, when he was at USC. So, I mean, there was I didn't get to see any highlights of him, running the ball or anything like that. So I was super pleasantly surprised whenever he's breaking off these 20-yard runs.
That's always big, especially in the situation. Like I think it was 3rd and 14 or 15 that he broke off the run. That's always I feel like that was a key part of the game too.
Absolutely. There's so when you're in places like Death Valley and Kyle Field, the 12th man, when you're in those kind of environments, those kind of plays, it literally sucks the life out of the crowd.
It really does.
And that's actually one thing that I think really hurt us in the LSU game. Is we allowed, as a team, we allowed the crowd to really get into the game.
Yeah.
And we never stopped the bleeding, so to speak.
Yeah.
We never, stopped the momentum and got the crowd out of it. That is one thing that we did do this weekend at Kyle Field, and which was actually your play that I attribute that most to, that tackle for a loss that you made, that was able to just kind of take the crowd out of it for even just that long. But it was allowed us to, stop the bleeding, put a Band-Aid on it. And, it's the SEC, they're a good team. They, came down the fourth quarter. Players are going to make plays, but
yeah,
y'all stopped the bleeding. Y'all, for the most part, kept the crowd out of it for the better part of the game. And I think that was a huge reason as to why you guys were able to not only win, but have a few quarters of really dominant defense there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on the road and you don't stop the crowd from getting into the game, the crowd really just gives the other team energy. So that if you don't stop that crowd before it gets out of hand, it's going to get bad.
Yeah, and that's like you were saying having a leader like that when you were referring to Zach Evans on the field is so crucial. You not being out there during the LSU game is something that I noticed on the defensive
he talked
side
about
of the
it.
ball.
He texted me. He kept texting me about it, and he was right. And I mean, I was going to ask you a minute ago. I mean, how hard was it for you to be on the sidelines? And because I mean, there were guys out there, young guys out there, looking over toward the sideline, like they were trying to figure out what to do.
I didn't even get to stay on the sideline. They made me come back in the locker room and sit in the locker room for the rest of the game. So that was even harder. So I couldn't even go out there, give them moral support. I couldn't do anything. I was just in the locker room stuck. So it was honestly pretty tough, not being out there and not being able to be with those guys and try to help in any way I could.
I bet so.
Yeah. And I know you're really humble, so I'm not gonna lay it on you too hard. But whenever you know that you're a leader on the team like that, and you're not able to be at least present or on the sideline for your team in the event, in your case where you had a concussion, where you physically weren't able to be playing.
Yeah.
Whenever you're not able to be at least present and around them, it pissed me off. Whenever I had to be in those situations, it pissed me off. But two, it really does have a huge effect on especially the younger guys, but the defensive unit as a whole. So I just want to take my hats off or give you your flowers, because your presence is very obvious and very needed on the defensive side of the ball. So I give you your flowers on that, brother.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, well, I think we need to let AJ go, Cody.
Oh no! You're gonna get on.
He's gonna
He's gonna go play COD. I know he's gonna play COD. Modern Warfare 2 just dropped.
We want him to come back. Like I want him to come back next week or something. So I don't know.
Oh, y'all are good.
I'm messing with you, brother. Okay. I'm trying to think. Yeah. Well, we'll absolutely have you back on sometime. Love talking to you. I'm glad I finally got to talk to you, meet you a little bit.
For sure.
I'll be at the Bama game. I'll be on the sidelines. I'm gonna holler at you.
Okay.
But for this off week and the practice next week, just make sure you're keeping those boys dialed in and focused. Yeah. And this week, get the rest. You make sure those guys are getting in the training room, just being active in their rehab and getting healthy, because we need everybody healthy.
100%. Need everybody. Like we can't go into this game banged up. So I honestly feel like the bye week is perfect. We can get our legs back, be flying around. I feel like that's going to be big going into this game. Everybody's going to be not 100%, but as close to 100% as possible. But that it's always big having a bye week before a game like this.
Well, let me ask you one more thing, even though I know you need to go. But I mean, what is it like having a bye week this late in the season? I mean, compared to I think last year, didn't we have it early? Before we had it before Bama again last year. But I mean, I think that was so early. I mean, it was almost I'm not going to say it was a pointless bye week last year, but I mean, this has got to come at a really good time for y'all.
I mean, it did. I feel like it did come at a good time because it was honestly becoming a grind. My body is. It's feeling. I'm feeling everything right now, but I think this body is going to be big because we got 3 really big games coming up, and getting that body back to as close to 100% as possible is really, really key.
Okay.
I'm excited for it, brother. I think you guys. I know you said you have 1 more year of eligibility or COVID eligibility. Is that right?
Yeah.
Again, I've already given my opinion on.
Yeah. We can't pressure the guests, Cody. We're not allowed to pressure the guests.
What I will say is, watching you guys, I don't think you guys have put together a full 4 quarters of Land Shark defense yet, but I think you can, and I'm excited to watch you guys do that and see you guys grow into that and really solidify your identity as the Land Shark defense that we all come to know and love.
Yeah.
But other than that, brother, I'm really happy I got to meet you. I'm glad I got to give you your flowers. You earned it.
Thank you.
Really looking forward to seeing how the rest of this season plays out. But for this week, just make sure you're holding all those guys accountable.
Yeah,
and that's in practice, training room, everything. Holding everybody accountable. It's a crucial part of being a leader, and sometimes you got to be an asshole about it, but it is what it is.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, I think that they don't even bleep that on TV anymore.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. Well, thank you, AJ. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for having me, man.
Okay. I appreciate it, brother. Take it easy.
Bye.
You too.
Hey, stay off a cod. Get some sleep.
I will. I definitely will. See y'all.
Okay. Bye-bye. What a great kid. I really like him. See what I mean? And it is just so amazing to me that so many, I mean, do you like go to safety public relations school or what is going on? Because he sounded like you're like little twin or something with a lot of his answers. Isn't that crazy?
He was very diplomatic with some of his answers. It reminded me of myself a lot. It was a humble confidence that I like to think I carried myself with when I played, but it's having a leader that is grounded like that they're grounded and humble, and they know what they're capable of, so they don't really have to harp on it, stuff like that. I think that's a beautiful characteristic or personality trait to have when you're in that position. So my hat's off to him, and I really enjoyed talking to him. This is the first time I've ever gotten to really meet him or talk to him.
Yeah, so, well, hopefully he'll come back on again. See what I mean? He's he's so diplomatic, and he's just such a such a great team leader and team player. So very much like you. So
might need to let him get Kiffin to do some of the anti-coach speak training. Kiffin definitely doesn't go for the coach speak there, does he? That's very endearing to me. I appreciate that very much. Well, I think that's just a product of the kind of at least media culture that we're in right now is authenticity. So
right.
I think because he's so authentic, it attracts a lot of recruits, it attracts a lot of fans. It's refreshing whenever you hear a honest, just human being. Whenever we're especially in the Southeastern Conference, we're used to head coaches almost being put on a pedestal.
Right. Or so afraid to offend somebody. Kiffin was asked in Monday's press conference, because obviously everybody knows it's no secret he and Jimbo have exchanged some barbs and little jabs here and there. And somebody asked him about what was it like, you and Jimbo, the coaches usually talk a little bit before the game. And he said, I wouldn't know. He never came over. He said it was, I think he said that's never happened before. And he said, but the network guys said, oh, don't take it personally. I mean, he blew us off too. He blew our meetings off too. So I think Jimbo's a little stressed these days, but it was funny because normally a coach, he probably wouldn't have said that, and he said, it is what it is, which is what he says, I mean, so he says that a lot, but it was just kind of funny to me. He tells us, I don't do coach speak, and I'll just tell you like it is, or else I'll tell you I'm not going to tell you. So
I really like that about Coach Kiffin. There's it's with him, or at least from what I can tell with him, what you see is what you get, and I think that's a very, I know for me, that's a very attractive thing in a head coach. So I don't know. I can see why he's been very successful in the transfer portal,
right,
because of that reason.
Right. But I think so too. So really excited about this next couple of weeks coming up. Off week. I think we all needed it. I mean, we all needed a bye week. I mean, fans, players, everybody, it's timely. So, but
these last 2 weeks have been extremely stressful. Right. Even just watching on TV, but I'm glad. And I know that I probably talked about it too much in the article that I wrote today, but it was, I don't know, I kept comparing last week's game to this week's game because the circumstances were so comparable, where it's 100,000 people and it's, really hostile environments.
Right.
And you have guys like Zach and AJ and Troy Brown that missed most of last game, or the LSU game.
Right.
But you have these guys that are just very obvious leaders on the field. And whenever they're not present, or whenever they are present, it just makes a palpable difference in, how the team plays on offense and defense.
Yeah, it really does. And I mean, you could see at LSU, I mean, literally, I could see some of the defensive players on the field looking over to the sidelines, like, throw me a lifeline here, So I just feel like, they're definitely the presence of Troy and AJ was deeply missed. So it was good.
I think the leader, or if I had to put a definition on what that would be, is that having that leadership on the field, it gives a sense of accountability to everybody, because they know that guys like AJ, or on the other side of the ball, guys like Zach, if you screw up, they're going to call you out on it. Other times, or if they weren't present, they might get called out, when they go to the sideline at the end of the drive, something like that. But when you have guys with that kind of leadership on the field, it tends to make everyone hold each other more accountable. And whenever you're holding each other more accountable, you're playing a lot more disciplined football. And to be a good defense, you got to have 11 guys that are playing incredibly disciplined every single play, especially in the SEC, because when one guy is out of a gap, or one guy doesn't set the edge, or one guy doesn't fill the alley right, it's a big play with the talent that's in the SEC.
Exactly. Well, okay. So if I would have been a player on the defense with you, I would have been scared. I mean, were you out there holding your teammates accountable? Because I wouldn't have wanted to make you mad, because when I close my eyes, I still see you hitting that poor Boise State fella. And I mean, that poor guy, let's just hope he doesn't find out you have a show, because you probably have given him PTSD or something. Everybody will know what that hit was. But I mean, so did you ever get on? I mean, did you have to get on people? I mean,
I think that was one of the special things about, that defensive group, was that it was like a collective of leaders. We all we all held each other accountable. And I mean, I know the coaching staff and, some of the other players, they would, and I would consider myself one of the leaders of that team. I was not immune from, getting called out. And I think that's what was so great about that, that defense that we had, that we built, is that, no matter who you were, if you screwed up, if you were out of place, if you missed a tackle, if you, missed or had a mental error, anything like that, it didn't matter who you were, you're going to get called out by somebody, and it wasn't going to be the coaches. And I think once you get to that point where you have 11 guys that are holding each other accountable for, all on the same standard, I think that's whenever you can reach a point of greatness. And unfortunately, we don't have that same, I guess, discipline and accountability across the board on this defense yet. So that's why it is so vital that guys like AJ and Troy Brown are, out there present on the field. JJ are out there and present on the field to be that, that kind of
Tavius, I think Tavius Robinson, Cedric Johnson, you're right. And we have a kind of a young secondary, and some new guys, but I definitely know what you're saying, because I think back to that team. It's a really good point. I think back to the defense you had, and when I think about the names of those players, and I think about obviously Sinquez and you and Mike Hilton, and was Trey Elston on that group? Yeah, I mean, I think about some of those guys. Wasn't DT Shackelford? Was he there? Did you play with DT? Yeah, I mean, I can recite all those names, but I mean, when you just think about the level of intensity and the leadership just in the names of those players, I mean, that was very unique, I think.
Sorry about that, everyone. We had some technical difficulties. This is episode number 1. We do want to thank Mr. AJ Finley, starting safety for the Ole Miss Rebels, for joining us for episode 1. Had a lot of fun talking to him. Really great kid, really great player, really good leader. I was very impressed with him. But if you want to follow him, you can follow him on Instagram at AJ_XXI_, and that is AJ Finley. If you want to, please follow us at Rebel Takes Podcast on Instagram, at Rebel Takes on Twitter, and soon we will have all of our content and additional content up on the website, rebeltakes.com, that we can share with you guys. But we hope you like episode number 1. We're going to have more episodes coming soon. We're going to have some good guests on. We'll try and make it as entertaining as possible for you guys, and informative as possible for you guys. Miss Evie, do you have anything for us?
Oh, I just want to tell folks that I'm just honored to be on with you. I think folks should know that I've been asking Cody to be on a podcast with me for, I think, like 8 years, maybe, if I count right. And just really admired you as a player, not only on the field, but how you handled yourself off the field. So I'm really excited to start this venture with you, and I look forward to it. And I know everyone will be really excited to hear from you each week.
I appreciate that. And I look forward to it as well. But we can't get into that mushy stuff anymore.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
But yes, everybody go follow us on Instagram at Rebel Takes Podcast, on Twitter at Rebel Takes. We're going to start being a lot more active with that now that we're dropping the first episode. As soon as we get some more content up on the website, we will let you guys know, and we will see you next time. Howdy toddy.
Howdy toddy.